she literally said, "You look bad." Meow. I was thinking. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing okay and everyone is doing well. Another day, another Love Island review, a long one at that. Today's episode was long like yesterday's episode, which was an hour 20. So yeah, a lot for us to discuss. So as I usually and always say, number one, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. We are on the road to 30k. Also be sure to follow me on my Instagram and also on my Twitter at SarahDestinyX. My eyes itchy. And like I usually and always say, please get cozy and comfy with a nice drink. I love how of recent I've been telling you guys what I've been drinking, but today I actually have a 50-50, half lemonade, half peach iced tea, because me and my sister actually oh, it spilled, but the lid saved it. Anyway, me and my sister actually went out to eat just before Love Island started. But enough of me yippee yapping. Let us get into today's review. So let's start off with the aftermath of Catherine and Scott. You guys know in yesterday's episode they ended up sharing a little smoochy on the terrace. By the way, guys, why does everyone always have to go to the terrace to kiss now? It's like, yeah, anyway, I won't lie guys, I do have to say, and I already tweeted this too, I am on the Catherine and Scott ship. Guys, I think they're so cute together. I feel like today's episodes, they really showed, like, I don't know, let me know if you agree, disagree. We all have our own opinions, but I am really here for Catherine and Scott. Guys, they look so good together. And it actually comes across like Scott genuinely cares about her and her friends, which I really care about, but we'll get into that shortly. But right now, I have my ticket. I'm about to board that ship. Now let's move on briefly to, of course, her telling the girls and Scott also telling the guys. I'll be very honest. Initially, she spoke to, I think, Jess, Ella, who was it? Jess, Ella and Ty, she spoke to them about the kiss on the terrace. Medhi came in and was asking, was it French? I'll be honest, and I think I'm only saying this because I'm comparing their reactions to Whitney's reaction, because Whitney was like, oh my gosh, no way, I don't know how I felt everyone else's reactions were. That's all I'm going to say. Let me know if you agree, disagree, but the reactions were very interesting. But of course, she ended up telling Whitney and Ella separately. And Ella did say, asks, you know, is he still open with Leah? Because, you know, what exactly led to the kiss? And one thing I will say about Ella, though, is that she seems to be very grounded, i.e. when her mates are up in the clouds, she likes to bring them down to earth. And of course, a lot of people were speculating that Scott only kissed her because he locked things off with Leah. But I actually do think Scott does like Whitney, and we'll get into that because little things happen throughout this episode for me personally that I feel like low-key confirms it. But of course, Scott also ended up telling up the guys, why can't I talk? I think it's that drink. But of course, Scott also ended up telling the guys as well. Sarah, get together. Now let's move on to Leah, Montel and Ty. Ty, of course, already knew the gist. So he was just like, oh, what do you feel about, you know, blah, 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 kissing on the terrace? And she was just like, oh, I actually didn't know. I'm hearing about it now. And he was just like, oh, sorry, it wasn't my place. But you guys already know how I feel about Leah, okay? She gives me tomatoes. She gives me oats with no milk. She gives me dry bread. Honestly, I don't get much from her. And one of you commented, guys, I love reading your comments, but one of you commented on my videos yesterday, like, oh, Leah has mastered the divine energy and the feminine energy. Real people know she doesn't have to do much to, that divine and feminine energy has turned 3 guys away from her. So I don't know what energy people are referring to, but I generally just think Leah is boring, and that's okay. You know, not everyone has to give us scenes in Love Island. You know, there has to be balance. But Leah doesn't, she just doesn't really give for me, if I'm going to be honest. Now, let's move on to the, never have I ever game, honey, because I won't lie, Love Island said straight on. One thing I would say though is like, why are the never have I ever games, why are they always so sexual? Like, why can't it be never have I ever had hot Rabina, what, never have I ever been to Greece? Like, it's always just, do you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's just always a, come on, relax guys, relax. But we'll start off with some of the results. I won't speak about all of them. The first was, never have I ever, is it done anything with a teacher? Getting with his teacher. Anyway, Medhi ended up drinking. Whitney said it's given home wrecker. I don't know. Medhi was just, maybe he was just thirsty because the way Medhi was just drinking, never have I ever, he even drank again for never have I ever got with someone over 40. He ended up drinking. I think he said he was 21, she was 42, something, okay? Medhi was thirsty in today's episode. Never have I ever had a threesome. Tyrique and Scott drank. Of course, gave their little explanations. I think it also explains why Tyrique's body count is 100+. And of course, course, we'll get into the have I ever been two-faced behind anyone in this villa. I was screaming because Zach said that, and the way it just killed the entire mood. Anyway, no one drank, and I'm not sure why, because if I start stating names, okay. And Zach also did say like he just feels like people are just copping out, like, you know, this is opportunity for you to drink, but obviously people don't want to involve themselves in drama. But we watch this in 4K literally every night, babe. We know that majority of you guys are actually two-faced. But anyway, yeah, he did say everyone was lying. And the last question was, never have I ever cheated. Of course, Zach ended up drinking, and this was when the drama happened, all right, or the beginning of the drama. So Zach ended up drinking, and he was just like, he was young, but he's grown up now. He wasn't proud of it. He also confessed to the fact that the girl didn't know. Eek! Heartache. Finding out that you've been cheated on national TV. Hey, God. After who, fair who? Okay. Jess ended up shouting, once a cheater, always a cheater, Zachariah. And then Ella was just like, yeah, what Jess said. Now, number one, it was given follow, because I actually don't know why Ella decided to add her little 2 pence in. We then obviously find out later. But one thing that I didn't like as well was the fact that he clearly looked a bit uncomfortable expressing that, but he decided to be truthful and decided to be open. And then Mitch jumped in, because when doesn't Mitch jump in? But Mitch ended up jumping in, and he was just like, oh, but he didn't have to say anything. And I love that Whitney also jumped in as well and said, you know what, it's given growth, okay? Because that's what it's given. He's confessing it, he's opened up about it. He said that he was really young and he's learned from his mistakes, and it's not something that he wants to do again. I mean, even the girl that he's in a couple with, yeah, Molly gave a few faces, but we'll get onto it later on anyway. She didn't even really care. So I feel like for me, my standpoint was, even if Jess or Ella had anything to say about Zach cheating, it wasn't the right time to just be shouting that out. I mean, this is clearly a sensitive topic for some people, which we end up finding out later on. But it's just, yeah, I just wasn't really here for it, to be honest, and it just wasn't, yeah. That whole little, I just felt like it was unnecessary, and yeah, that's just me. But let me know if you agree, disagree down below. Of course, the girls now started talking about it after, and Jess said that she said what she said, she's standing on what she said. Ella ended up speaking to Tyrique, and I actually do like the fact that Tyrique is really growing. I think he read that book that Zach read, okay? But he ended up speaking to Ella as well, and he was just like, yeah, I feel like, you know, you were doing a little bit too much. And she was just like, oh, but obviously I just felt this way because I think Ella confessed as well that she's actually been cheated on. So PTSD, which I completely understand. All right, I'm not going to completely neglect that. So she did say that she was going to apologize. And then Jess as well, which was quite interesting to me. Jess of course just said like, I'm going to stand on I said what I said. Now she sees Ella and Zach talking, and Ella's pretty much, you know, just apologizing and explaining why she said what she said. And Jess was like, I'm going to come over because I just feel like I'm involved in this conversation. And then she ended up apologizing. I don't have any problems with people apologizing, but Jess literally just said that she's going to stand on what she said. So you apologizing and standing on what you said, yeah. Okay? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to Ella and Mitch having a conversation. Ella's point of view was just like, listen, Mitch, don't involve yourself in information or business that you don't need to be concerned in. And Mitch was just like, no, I just feel like you have an agenda against And on one hand, although I understood where Mitch was coming from, because it's Mitch, I can't fully settle. Okay? Because, and we'll get into it later, but like, Mitch, do Molly and Zach even like you? If anything, you're like the pest that won't leave them alone. I do feel like he wasn't bad. I have to be honest. I don't think he was bad for telling Ella like, you know, what you done was, but he should have also had that conversation with Jess. I'm just deep in it now. So you know what? Yeah, Mitch, let's pick our battles wisely here. Why did he only go and speak to Ella? Why didn't he speak to Jess? Jess is the one that shouted it out. Like, okay, now that I really reasoned there, no. Okay, but I do love the fact that on top of that, Ella was pretty much just letting, and that's one thing I do like about Ella. Sorry guys, I'm really diverting here and there, but that is one thing I do like about Ella, is she does usually stand on her words, and if she feels something, she's gonna say it. But yeah, although Mitch may have been right in trying to get his point across, there was no need for him to be involved with his side comments as well. Let's move on to Mehdi and Leah talking. I'm pausing because number one, I don't think that conversation was genuine. I think the producer has something to do with that. Number two, Mehdi and Leah talking. When, where, who, what, how? When did all of this happen? I don't understand. So Mehdi and Leah ended up talking. He was just like, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I've been thinking about you. I don't want to not do this, do that. I basically want to give myself the chance. Like, I really like you. Even Leah looked shocked. She was just like, oh, okay. Leah's not feeling that guy. She's not gonna feel that guy. But he was, I think the thing with me was Mehdi was saying really weird things. Like he was like, oh, you know, you're well spoken. Babe, she's speaking English and you're speaking English. And Whitney also speaks English. Am I reading into this a bit too much? I actually didn't understand that comment. I'm so sorry. It was low-key giving microaggression. It is what it is. Sorry. People always got onto me like, oh, Sarah always plays the race card. But comments like that, it's just not making any sense. And then the camera went to pan to Whitney. It just wasn't making any sense. But honestly, I don't see that progressing, if I'm going to be honest with you. She's not interested in him. Medhi is either looking for a storyline or the producers have just tried to initiate that because they want Leah to stay in the villa. Or, what was the last point I was going to say? Storyline, Leah, or he doesn't actually really like Whitney. That's it, because I don't understand why. It just doesn't make any sense, okay? And Leah is boring to me, so that's that. Now let's move on to Ella and Catherine talking. Well, Ella talking because Catherine was probably making like toast or something, but Ella was just like, I don't understand why Mitch'll get himself involved, X, Y, Z, and Catherine's just like, yeah. She's actually buttering her thing. She's just like, yeah, 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 I definitely understand. She's just like, oh, he just irks me, he just this, he's just that. Guys, the thing with Mitch is like, Mitch didn't actually need to get involved, but because Mitch was involved, it gives us entertainment because it's just like, Mitch, why are you doing this? But Mitch will be Mitch, so am I shocked? I don't think I am. Now let's briefly move on to Medhi speaking to Whitney about wanting to speak to Leah. Now, a lot to say about this, if I'm going to be honest with you. Number one is Medhi was looking for a reaction that he wasn't going to get, and I'm so glad that Whitney did not give him her time of day. Medhi was like, I feel like I owe you an apology, an explanation. She was just like, no, it's okay. He was just like, no, I feel like she was just like, it's okay, Medhi, like, go and get to know the girl. Like, no, I feel like it's okay. Do you want this girl to cry, roll on the floor, take off her wig? Like, she said it's okay, bye. So I didn't understand what Medhi wanted from her, and the fact that this has just come out of the blue, like I'm sure that Whitney's reaction wasn't just because she was shocked, but because things have low-key been going okay. We had a few speed bumps, we managed to calm it down in still waters, and now you're just backtracking. Like, and I know for a fact Whitney was even more annoyed because she gave someone a chance that she doesn't regularly give on a regular, daily, whatever basis, right? And that burns, okay? That really burns when you give someone a chance that you know you shouldn't have given a chance, and then they try to flip it and they get comfortable. I have to tell your Singlet twice. I have to rip that Singlet. I don't know who Mehdi thinks he is, and I honestly feel like he was trying to look for a reaction, and I'm glad that she didn't give it to him, okay? Now, of course, Medhi ended up talking to the guys. He walked over to the guys and he was just like, oh, bro, I effed up. I effed it up, man. I effed it up. And then Tyrique was like, what? Like, talk. Like, and then, of course, Medhi ended up breaking down the situation, and Tyrique said, yeah, like, you may have completely lost her. I'm not surprised, but also I feel like once again Medhi had that reaction because he just maybe thought that Whitney would have been like, yeah, it's fine, and when you're ready come back and no, she said okay because she actually doesn't. You're not sweating my lace front. I'm so sorry, you're not sweating my lace front. No one is. Of course, Ella also ended up walking to the girls. Catherine screaming. Catherine was like, what? Because she was just like, yeah, like he honestly wants to get to know, and he wants to get to know Leah. What made me scream though was when when Jess came over to obviously like speak to them, and then they blurred it out like he wants to get to know Leah. Jess was like, sorry. I'm sorry, that was absolutely hilarious. But Catherine and Ella also said that he's backpedaling. And yeah, that's just exactly the way it is. I feel like I'm glad that Whitney stood her ground, and she shouldn't allow Medhi to make her sweat, even if he decides to start acting interesting, okay? Medhi has, he's been running on borrowed time, because the way he's been speaking to Whitney these past few episodes, oh, you start packing, all right? You start packing. Now, let's briefly move on to Montel and Whitney. Nothing really to discuss here other than the fact that Whitney is not interested in him. He was like, oh, I can be your bestie from ends. I don't feel like Montel has game. Good chat, I won't lie, but game, yeah, I'm not really sure right now. But yeah, nothing is developing there at all. We don't even need to go into that further. Now, let's move on to the nighttime. Not much to discuss other than the fact that Leah said that she was whispering to Molly in bed, I think. She was whispering to someone in bed, and she said that she's going to get to chat. She's going to try and speak to him and not shut things down. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not even speaking about that topic any further. I'm sorry. It's not happening, so there's no point. And Mitch was also talking about Mitch, before they were getting ready for bed, he was speaking about the whole Ella situation, like why is Ella getting involved, blah, 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 blah. And Ty said, well, it's not you that has to deal with her, it's me. I won't lie, that was giving a little bit of energy. Okay, it was given a little bit of energy. One thing about Tyrique, which I have to rate, is he said my girl, my girl, my girl in today's episode. He was backing her till the wheels were going to fall off, and that's good. It's important for guys to back their girls. Medhi, take some notes. Now let's move on to the following morning. Ty, I'm screaming, so of course Medhi and Whitney, everyone wakes up, and Ty was just like, hey, when Medhi and Whitney, any cuddles last night, they were silent. Were they silent or were they silenced? Guys, they were so silent. He was just like, oh, too soon, yeah. But I think that's honestly just Tyrique's fun personality and character. Now we'll briefly move on to the girls chat and also to the boys before we get into the activities that took place during the day. Girls chats, Whitney said that she took a lot of steps forward and now she feels like it's gone backwards, and I do 100% do have to agree. I feel like Whitney has managed Medhi, like she's been managing him. Guys, she's literally been managing him, and he wants to come and do her like, don't make me rip that singlet twice. Medhi, let's not, okay? And the main reason why Medhi and Whitney are Medhi's even sending that villa is because he's been coupled up with Whitney and we don't want to send Whitney home. So even when we have to vote for couples, Medhi by default is included in that vote. So he needs to really tread carefully because I don't actually know what he's doing. Now, of course, Leah said that she doesn't want to get to know someone with tension, but she does feel like she does need to give herself the chance to get to know Medhi. But like I said, I don't see anything blossoming there. And of course, Catherine spoke about her kiss. We'll briefly move on to Ty talking, and he was getting on to Mitch. All right, like I said, Tyrique said, my girl, my girl, my girl. Who exactly are you talking to? But what was very interesting was Mitch was just like, oh, like he's running the villa, and Tyrique was like, bro, you're not a hero here. Like, you're not Molly's hero. And I hear it because I don't know, it's like Mitch still tries to find ways to include himself in Molly and Zach. It's like in the back of his mind, I know for a fact, in the back of Mitch's mind, he's just like, you know what, by the end of this season, Molly's going to be mine. I know it. Guys, that's how delusional Mitch is. I know for a fact that's generally how he feels in the back of his head. But I honestly do feel like Ty was being very honest and saying, if you want to be a hero of the villa, like, do it for everyone. Don't be subjective or personal to certain people, because we all know why you probably still want to get to know Molly XYZ. One thing I don't like, and I have to say this, and I say this quite a lot in my reviews, is whenever Mitch gets into an argument, I'm not sure if you guys have picked up on this, but he always starts speaking about, oh, you're immature or you're childish. Or sometimes he says, listen, I'm older, I know what I'm saying. But you don't act like someone that's older. Like, stop trying to use your age as an excuse to try and belittle people who are probably only 2 or 3 or 1 year even younger than you, all in the name of I'm older, I'm the oldest in this villa. Like, it's really not that deep. And I'm glad that Tyrique isn't scared of anyone. Tyrique definitely runs that villa in my eyes, but Tyrique isn't scared of anyone, and he made it clear, listen, what you done was wrong, so I'm not even here for it, and you don't need to be speaking about my girl XYZ XYZ. Of course, Sammy got involved, I believe, and said you guys should just apologize. He said he's not apologizing. Tyrique ended up apologizing. So there was a lot of back and forth going on, but I honestly just feel like no one's saying Mitch can't have an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion, but be a hero for everyone else in the villa. But also, on the other hand, maybe Tyrique only cares because it's Ella. Because if it was anyone else, I feel like Tyrique would have just kept quiet, because he's done that in the past as well. Anyway, stick by your girl, okay? That's how you make a successful relationship. Now, let's move on. By the way, let me know what you thought of that down below as well, guys. You know I love bring your comments. Now let's move on to Molly and Zach ended up getting a text that they were going on their first date. Guys, I have to be very honest with you. Let me just take a sip. Cheers. I have to be very honest with you in letting you know that I will never be on board this Molly and Zachariah ship. I genuinely don't care for them, and I don't see that changing, so I'm just probably going to say it now so I can stick by it. And I think that's just because I get a very weird vibe from Molly overall. Very interesting babe, if I do have to say so myself. But yeah, redemption, no redemption, apology, no apology. I don't care for them both. The only thing I'm going to say about that date was she meowed. So obviously Zach put on his helmet. Also, why was she wearing those boots? But Zach put on his helmet and was just like, oh, how do I look? And he was just like, you look, she literally said, you look bad. Meow. I was thinking, nah, guys, I actually cannot. But all I would say about that date is I genuinely just I can't get deep into them. Like, I feel like their conversations and their attraction, I feel like everything is so surface level with them. And I don't know why. But let me know if you agree or disagree. But they just don't really give me much, and I just have to stick by it. Now let's move on back to the villa. Sammy and Mal were having a conversation. She said that, oh, he was in her dreams last night. It's not giving a thing, it's giving cap. Anyway, whilst this was going on, guys, who started crying? Oh my gosh, if Jess actually cries one more time during this season, and I'm not even, guys, I'm not a heartless person. You guys know this. I'm not heartless, but the tears, it's just been a bit too much. The tears have been a bit too much with Jess, but she started crying, and Medhi saw her crying and was just like, Jess, what's wrong? Talk to me. She was just like, I just feel like I really like him. How am I supposed to move on with someone that I like? It's really hard for me. And I just see it as, number one, I know this isn't the same Jess crying after she tried to make Sammy mad by pretending to be with Mitch, even though they end up coupling at the end. But anyway, I know that's not the same Jess that's crying. And number two, you guys physically cannot be in a couple again. That was the rule. So you need to get over it very quickly, because I'm tired. Guys, spare me the Karen tears. I'm tired. Like, the lights are on, nobody is home. Like, the one guy you're crying over, he's sleeping and snoring peacefully at night because he didn't even really like her in the first place. Let's start there. But second of all, I just need Jess to just wrap it up, wrap up the tears, wrap up the storyline. You guys cannot physically couple, so try your best to get over the situation. Thank you, babe. Now let's move on to Whitney pulling Medhi for a chat. Before we get into that, another microaggression, because the alert is sky high right now, guys. It is sky high. I'm peeping, I'm listening, I'm watching everything. So of course, Medhi ended up Whitney pulled Medhi for a chat. She's just like, oh, Medhi, can I chat to you? And he was just like, who, me? And she was just like, well, yeah. And then Mitch was just like, oh, so much sass. It's a lack of self-awareness for me, because if anyone gives sass, Mitchell, it's you. Second of all, that's a microaggression. And if you know, you know. I don't have to break these things down for you. I don't, and I'm not even going to. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to. I know someone will be in my comments like, what do you mean that's a microaggression? All he said was sass. You ain't there. I'm not even going to break it down, but I know that's not Mitch talking. That's what I'm going to say. But of course, she ended up asking him about how genuine he was with the percentage of him wanting to speak with her and speak with Leah. He was like, he wants to give her this much percent, blah, blah, blah. Whitney defo came all guns blazing. I can tell she wasn't pleased. And like I said, I feel like it's because she genuinely let her guard down for this guy, and he thinks he can just go and rubbish her. It's not making any sense. Screaming though, because she asked for a conclusion to his madness. But in all honesty, I didn't see anything blossoming between Medhi and Leah, and I feel like either one, the producers planted that, or two, Medhi's looking for a storyline. Of course, after that conversation, Whitney went to go and speak to Scott and Catherine about the situation. And guys, number one, okay, your partner should, they should, like, just, I can't explain it. I just feel like your partner should be involved. And I just feel like with Catherine and Scott, maybe because this is another reason why I'm honestly just on the ship, things just seem natural. I feel like Catherine seems happy, Scott seems happy. I know a lot of people keep saying I don't trust him. And yeah, I know it, guys, it's early days. But right now, whilst things are looking good, I'm on that ship. Like I said, I got my ticket, I'm about to board. I think they're really cute together. And even with that, so Catherine and Scott were basically giving Whitney their advice, and Catherine was like, he's a chameleon. And then Scott was just like, do you want me to give you my honest opinion? And it's always good to get a guy's perspective sometimes, because guys and girls, guys, same situation, but we can be thinking very differently. He did tell her, like, let me just be honest with you, nothing is happening with Medhi and Leah. Leah is definitely set on Montel. So yeah, that is that. Now let's move on to Medhi and Leah talking about it. I don't really have much to say other than the fact that Leah is not feeling him. I think she's just trying to be kind and try and be nice, but she's not feeling him. So I'm really not even going to delve into that any further. Now let's move on to Molly and Zach back from the date. Not much to discuss other than the fact that Molly was really overselling that date to the girls. She was just like, guys, it was so funny. And like, we went skating, and like he was holding my waist, and like make sure I didn't drop. He was holding my back pocket. She was really overselling that date. That date was dry. Okay? Guys, tell me the date wasn't dry. If you can physically write down that the date wasn't dry with your heart on your chest, I'll sponsor you £1. Okay? And Zach did say he feels like they're getting closer, etc, etc. Now let's move on to the night time. Of course, the islanders ended up getting a text that it's time. Why did I do that? Anyway, they ended up getting a text that it's time for them to gather around the fire pit, and that there was going to be a recoupling in which the girls were going to choose, and Montel and Mal will be given the opportunity to choose first. Montel ended up choosing Leah. He was saying that she's smart and intelligent, etc, etc. Mal ended up choosing Sammy. Guys, the speech was so long. I mean, you are not running for office. I needed her to wrap it up, because why does anyone even have so much to say about Sammy? Let's make it make sense. Ella ended up choosing Tyrique. Of course, no surprise there. One thing I will say is that Ella and Tyrique look really good together. They are a very attractive couple. Whitney ended up choosing Medhi. I was quite surprised. She did say in the speech, he makes me feel so giddy, he makes me feel so shy, I feel more confident. She did say, although things have gone quite rogue, Remember that, right? So she did say, although things have gone quite rogue, she hopes things can make sense. And of course, she ended up choosing Mehdi. Knowing Mehdi and his madness, okay? Mehdi's gonna be like, maybe tomorrow, what did you mean by that rogue statement? Knowing Mehdi, guys, actually knowing Mehdi, he may bring something up, okay? But to be honest, Whitney didn't have a choice in choosing anyone else. So it was very obvious she was gonna choose Mehdi. Catherine ended up choosing Scott. Like I said, guys, I'm on that ship. The speech was cute. Sis is happy, and I'm happy that Sis is finally happy, because those tears that Sammy made her cry yesterday, oh, I hope he started packing. Of course, Jess ended up choosing Mitch. What a speech. What a speech. And Molly ended up choosing Zach. The finale, of course, was that we ended up getting a little walking. And I already saw the rumours, by the way, guys. I saw the rumours that she was going in, but I was just like, she's not really going to go in. But Kady from season 2, Love Island, is the newest bombshell to enter the villa. If you know, you know. Are you reading OG? If you don't know about Kady, I don't know. But yeah, Kady was from season 2. I think she was on Love Island when she was like 20 or something like that, and I think she's like 27, 28 now. My whole thing with OGs coming back to Love Island, for me, it just kind of defeats the purpose of Love Island. It's almost like when, what's that one, Tim Westwood, what's his name, what's Adam, when Adam came back into it, like, it's giving coins are low. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I think it's, yeah, when OGs come back to that, I just don't understand. And yeah, so yeah, those are my views on today. Those are my views. Those are my thoughts and views. I combined the words, but those are my thoughts and views on today's episode, guys. Please let me know what you thought of the episode down below. As always, overall, it was okay. Tomorrow's our last episode of the week, so I won't lie, the producers have really been producing, because I don't think we've had any, I don't think we've had 1 week episode since the season started, from what I can recall. But yeah, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. But other than that, please do have a lovely evening. I love you so much. Please do take care. God bless. And I shall see you tomorrow.